Could we please rise for the prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could the clerk please call a roll?
Council Leahy?
Here.
Council Martin?
Here.
Council Mercia?
Here.
Council Milanazzo?
Here.
Council Rourke?
Here.
Council Samaras?
Here.
Council Belanger?
Here.
Mayor Elliott?
Here.
Council Kennedy?
8 yeas, 1 absent. First item on the agenda on the mayor's business is a citation to the general manager of the 99 Restaurant and Pub in recognition of their grand reopening at 850 Chelmsford Street. Could Amy Manchester please come to the podium? First of all, congratulations on the grand opening. It was a great event, and it was good to be there. And on behalf of the city, we'd like to offer you a citation. Be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates the 99 Restaurant and Pub on their grand reopening at 850 Chelmsford Street. Charlie Doe opened the first 99 restaurant at 99 State Street in Boston in 1952. Charlie's wife gave him a horseshoe for good luck, which he hung on the door, and lo and behold, their beloved logo was born. This Lowell location was opened in 1993 and soon became the place for great food and drink for the towns of Lowell, Chelmsford, and Draycote, and other surrounding towns. In 2012, the 99 restaurant was acquired by American Blue Ribbon Holdings, and in 2013, former Vice President of Operations, Charlie Noyes, took over as president of the company. The entire city of Lowell extends its deep wishes to the 99 Restaurant and Pub, and thanks Operations Director Ray Damaris, Regional Vice President Greg Babineau, along with General Manager Amy Manchester, for making this a comfortable place to gather and enjoy great food and drink at a terrific price. Given this 27th day of March, by myself, on behalf of all my colleagues in government here tonight, we thank you and we congratulate you.
I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor for the proclamation and also for attending the event. Thank you for the council for recognizing the 99. Lowell is the first remodel done by the company this year. It's completely new, floor to ceiling. We also have a new menu coming out soon, so I really hope you all come in and check it out. We did it for the city of Lowell. We enjoy serving the city of Lowell, so I hope you can all come down and visit us. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Right.
Next item is a communication. African American Alliance Committee would like to speak regarding the groundbreaking for Lowell's Nelson Mandela Monument. Gordon? Good evening and welcome. Would the entire committee like to join Gordon?
Mr. Mayor, council members, city officials, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And now I would like to introduce the president of the African American Alliance, Dr. Bo Choka, to make remarks.
Mayor Elliott, members of the City Council, Manager Murphy, good evening. As Gordon has just mentioned, my name is Boa Tucker, and I am involved with an organization that is trying to fill the void in building capacity within the African community. And so we have formed as an organization, and we are in the process of filing our state papers for incorporation. And at the same token, we have been working diligently with the university to actually have a monument on the ground of the Songas Arena area to pay tribute to the legacy of Nelson Mandela. The university is working very closely with us, and we have a groundbreaking ceremony that is going to take place on Thursday, 11 a.m. At the arena. And so out of respect for our city leaders who've always encouraged civic activism from its citizens, and also embraced citizens of various ethnic groups, we thought that it was fitting to come here and inform you about our efforts to ensure that we are successful in this endeavor. And so I have some information here about the groundbreaking event, and I would like to formally invite all of you to attend. Thank you very much for having us.
You're very welcome. Thank you. If you could hand that out.
Yes, and we have a founding member of the organization. As you already know, Gordon. Here is Janet Johnson, very active and very much interested in gender equity issues. And we also have an attorney, a burgeoning attorney, Ernest Marchant, who's also part of the founding member of the group. Thank you again.
Thank you. Before we proceed, I'd like to welcome City Manager-elect Kevin Murphy, who has joined us for his first meeting. Mr. Manager-elect, welcome. Next item under the agenda, the mayor's business, is a communication. Deb Belanger from the Convention Visitors Bureau. She's the executive director of the Greater Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau, to promote the great race that is coming to Lowell on June 21st. Ms. Belanger, welcome.
Thank you.
We had a great event today.
We did. We had a press conference today, and we had Mr. Stum, who is the race director from Great Race, join us out on the plaza, and it was really exciting because we had 10 different vintage cars. So I think you'll see a picture floating around of the mayor in a hot rod that he took a picture with. So it was kind of fun. But first of all, I want to say good evening to Mr. Mayor, city councilors, acting city manager Michael Gary, and city manager-elect Kevin Murphy. I'm here to talk about the great race, but before I do that, I just really want to take a quick moment to thank you all on behalf of my board for the past support of our organization. The funding that you provide to our organization allows us to continue to bring numerous events and visitors to the city. As you know, a visitor to my organization who is someone who travels over 50 miles and stays overnight. We're always looking at events that generate economic growth for our museums, our attractions, our restaurants, and of course, heads in beds, as I like to refer to them. Last year, we had over 1.3 million people visit our museums, attractions, and sporting events, and attend our cultural festivities. We also had 22,000 people who attended events like the Colonial Classic, U.S. Rowing, Miss Massachusetts, and generated an estimated $5.8 million in economic impact. This year, we're really excited to bring the Great Race to the city of Lowell. The 2014 Great Race will be making an overnight pit stop in Lowell on June 21. The Great Race has logged hundreds of thousands of miles throughout thousands of cities in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It is the first time they will be coming to the city of Lowell. It was between Manchester, New Hampshire, Haverhill, Mass., and the city of Lowell. And after the first phone conversation with me, who could resist? But anyways, the Great Race is a very intense vintage car rally with a family-friendly atmosphere. Teams compete in a controlled time event with speed, endurance, and things like that. This year's theme is Maine to Florida, with Lowell being the first overnight stop. Ceremonies will begin at 4:45 on Middle Street. They'll basically come in off the Lowell Connector, go down Thorndike Street to Dutton Street, down Market Street, left on Central, and then on Middle Street. These cars will be, there will be 100. These cars will be displayed for 3 hours on Saturday night. And the oldest car is a 1916, I believe, is what Jeff said today. And the newest car is a 1957. So that's going to be something really exciting to see. We anticipate about 7,500 people at a minimum to come to this event. It's on a Saturday. New England is a great car environment, and rain or shine, and we all know that it's going to be sunny that day, so we really do expect that many people. But one thing that we did, the local organizing committee, was we decided, why just have the Great Race come in at 5 o'clock? We decided to make the day all vintage and classic cars. So from 11 to 4, we're doing a classic car show. At Jean d'Arc Credit Union, the city lot, we're doing a car show at Lowell 5, and we're also using the Songa Center as a classic car show. We expect to have 400 cars in those lots. We're also doing a cruisin' Lowell where 20 cars will have assigned parking throughout downtown and just cruise the cities like I'm sure you all did when, maybe you still do. But anyways, we're having a children's area at Enterprise Bank parking lot, and we're doing a vendors area at Lucy Lockham Park. So as you can see, rather than just having that featured event, we decided to make it a day for a family-friendly event. So we're really excited about that. I do want to say, if it wasn't for the support of the city, and in particular, the Special Events Office and Chris Samaras, these types of events would not happen. It is really important that we have a great partnership, because it takes a lot of collaboration and a lot of, coordination. But again, we wanted to take a few minutes to come in and let you know about this event. There is a package of information. So again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If anybody, yes, and Jeff Stum from the Great Race was generous enough to provide you with a sample of what the shirts are going to look like. And if you open up the back of the shirt, it's really cool because it gives the theme of the event, which is Maine to Florida. And as you can see, Lowell is on the back of the map. So again, we expect, with all of the marketing that they're doing on a national level through a number of different magazines, we expect 19.5 million impressions through different publications, and With our marketing campaign, we expect over 1 million impressions. So again, it's another way for us to showcase the city of Lowell to a demographic that we might not necessarily bring here, so they can either move here, come back and visit us. So again, it's just part of the economic, it's another way to use this as an economic driver for the city of Lowell. So again, I want to thank you for your time.
On behalf of the city, Deb, we'd like to thank you for all your hard work, you and your staff. Courtney, we know getting this event to the city was no easy task. I tell you, just in the short amount of time they were outside with just a few antique cars, or 5 or 6 of them, there was quite a bit of excitement out there, and I think it's going to be a very good way for the city to present itself again to people that normally would not come to the city from outside the region and outside the certainly Merrimack Valley. So, looking forward to it. If there's no objection on the next item, if we could, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of taking up an item relative to the subcommittee report.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Samaras to suspend the rules to bring item 6-1 or 6.1 in. All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Excuse me. Any opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Leahy, Councilor Leahy, would you like to bring in the subcommittee report prior to this motion?
Yes, yep. Thank you. I have to just get my notes. I'm all set. So we have the neighborhood subcommittee meeting tonight at 5:30. Present with the members, myself, Councilor Mercier, Councilor Samaras. Councilor Belanger was also present. I'm going to forget some names, but from UMass Lowell, we had Adam Bakey's back, Gene Robinson, Dirk Van Leuling, Jeff Correa, Paul Marion, and DJ Cochran. I hope I got everybody's name right. Also present, some city officials, Eric Eby and Lisa DeMayo, I think. So, and city manager. So we talked about the proposed parking and traffic situation over on Fletcher Street as it pertains to the parking lot, which has Dane Street on one side and Whiting on the other. This has been going on for a few months. This came up maybe in October or November. Was brought back to the neighborhoods. UMass Lowell did a great job with our city people, reaching out to the neighborhood, informing them of the changes that they'd like to make, informing them about everything that's the development that's going over there with the parking lot as it relates to the new buildings. So the neighborhood's happy with the changes. We're gonna make really only some changes on Whiting Street. We're gonna have a reversal on Whiting Street, and Dane Street basically stays the same at this point for the traffic flow. So we heard from people in the neighborhood, the business leaders, from the church. Everybody seems to be on board with this. The changes over there, along with this, you know, the good things that Councilor Belanger brought up, and maybe Councilor Mercier also, is that, you know, we're gonna have the campus police station right over there in that neighborhood now. So that's great. Along with the changes, we're gonna have a police detail at the peak hours to make sure that the traffic flow is working. And we're gonna be working with our departments to make sure that the proper signage is up. So, I think that was about it, unless one of the members want to add anything. But basically, we took a motion, we had a motion, which I don't have, but I think the clerk could read the motion. It was, the motion made was
To adopt the
Oh.
adopt the recommendation.
adopt the recommendation of from UMass
UMass
Lowell on
Lowell
the traffic
and the
changes
traffic.
for a 60-day order.
Okay, motion by
So it was
Mr.
motion by Counselor Mercia, seconded by
Mr. Mayor,
Samaras.
the 60-day order is from September 1, when school is in session and the building is occupied.
Okay, motion by Council Mercy to adopt the recommendation presented by UMass Lowell, and second by Council Belanja on the
Samaras.
motion. Second by Council Samaras. Okay. Discussion on the motion. Council Belanja?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make it clear that the 60-day trial is going to be on or about from September 1st, when the building is fully occupied and school is back in session. It's still in the late construction stages, so that's when we'll get a better accurate gauge on this project and the impact to the neighborhood. So at that time, we can keep a close eye on it, so thank you very much.
Well, I think, though,
Council Leahy?
I think that we're gonna vote on a 60-day trial now, but we're gonna keep an eye on it come September and make sure that the 60-day trial is still in effect. So it is gonna go into effect now.
Okay, so, Councilors, the order is a 60-day trial period, so we're adopting the order. I mean, it's supporting the order, okay?
Right.
It was publicly advertised, we held a hearing and then referred this to the subcommittee, and now this is coming back for the report and recommendation. Right?
That's right.
Okay. Further discussion on adopting the recommendation or this 60-day order? Although we'll accept that as a report of progress and place on file. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to the actual order. Motion to entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council O'Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the City of Lowell, in City Council. Order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy?
Yes.
Counsel Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belanja?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy? 8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Order is passed. Thank you to the folks from UMass Lowell. We appreciate you taking time coming down to both. And Adam, welcome back.
Thank you. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corcoran. Reverting back to the agenda under the city clerk, the minutes of the city council meeting dated April 1st, the special meeting of March 31st for acceptance. Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could just ask my colleagues to amend the minutes from April 1st, I apologize. Mrs. Tavares, when we had her moment of silence, it was listed as Rosemary, and her name is actually Rosemarie. So if we could reflect that in the minutes, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Motion to amend by Council Martin, second by Council Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That
Thank you.
motion carries. Further discussion on minutes presented for approval? Motion to accept and place on file by Council Belanja, seconded by Council Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The minutes are accepted. Next item under unfinished business is an order of taking and acceptance of Alyssa Drive, Dabby Way, and Green Street Extension. Mr. Manager?
This is just a matter before you for a second time. It was held in the clerk's office for 7 days. The public hearing has been held and discussion has been made, and it's just back here for a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Discussion on this item? Roll call.
Counsel Leahy?
Yes.
Counsel Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belanja?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy? 8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries. Next item, communications from the city manager. Items A through F. Questions for the city manager? Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager,
I did get a response on Communication C, the revenue on Father Morissette. Can you talk about the ongoing discussions the city is having with various businesses to get those parking spots filled
Yeah,
up?
yes, Counselor, there's been an ongoing discussion with UMass Lowell and some other, Farley White and some other entities. The discussions are going quite well. I think we're just kind of putting some numbers together and some information on paper, and I think it's going to be back before you shortly. But I think it's good news because for several reasons that those spaces will be filled, and it'll be, they won't be filled during the special events time and during the weekend times with the more needed. It's been a kind of an issue down there in terms of not getting the parking that they had anticipated, but I think that the discussions that we're having now will alleviate that issue, and we can move forward on it. And I think another good part of it, just from a personal perspective, is then when there's no cars parked on that street, as has been the case, it's hard to delineate where that bike lane is. So it's pretty confusing. I think when we have the cars parked there, we'll be able that bike lane will be a little bit more prominent, because. And I'm Mr. Magoo driving, but it's still kind of tough when you're seeing those markings on the road. And I think parked cars will kind of delineate, the bike lane, the parking, and the main drag. So it's good news, and I think there'll be something forward shortly on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further questions on motion responses? Councilor Milonazo and Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does it make sense to send the report from our parking director regarding the Nelson Nygaard review of the parking ordinance back to the Economic Development Subcommittee, to send that back to the Economic Development Subcommittee?
Motion by Councilor Milonazo to send the report on the parking back to the Economic Development Subcommittee, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. We'll send that report to the Economic Development Subcommittee. Councilor Martin?
Thank you. I wanted to comment on the resignation of Brian Occasion from the License Commission. He served, Mr. Occasion served the License Commission at a time of, I guess, some controversy. Certainly, the council was actively involved in some License Commission matters, proposing new regulations, working with the License Commission. I know some members eventually resigned, and through all that, I think Mr. Occasion kind of kept a level head. He was respectful, I think, of the demands of the public. I think he was respectful of his fellow board members and to his obligations under the law. So thank him for his service. I think we'll miss him on the board. He was a calming and stabilizing influence, but certainly we all understand that he's going to have a little more work to do probably. So we wish him well in his future endeavors, and thanks for his service on the License Commission.
Thank you, Councilor. I think we all agree. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I agree with you, Counselor. He was at a position there at the time that there was some stuff that we're going through there, and he kind of steadied the ship a little, and he did a good job. And in our office, the manager's office has recognized him for that service, and we sent a letter indicating the same. So he did a good job.
Thank you. Okay. Further questions or discussion on motion responses? If there's no objection, I just had a question. I know Ms. Tradd is here on a motion that I filed regarding the update of the Smith-Baker Center, or through you, Mr. Manager. I know this was sent out to declare surplus back in 2011, and 9 people took out proposals, but we didn't get any in return. I'm kind of curious if what the reasoning was. Ms. Tradd, thank you for joining us.
Brad,
Good
acting
evening.
Planning Director. We did not get any proposals back. None of them said that it was an economic decision. It was a financial. I think the building's going to cost a lot to repair. We have had a lot of interest in the past year. People have called. We had someone interested in a high-end restaurant and like a dinner theater, but they have not gotten back to us. So we've shown the building. Patty Luckin, our asset manager, has shown the building several times. But I think it's a matter of the cost of renovation. People are very excited about it, look at it, think it's great, but I think it's just a money factor.
I have been in there recently, and I agree, and the roof is leaking, and is there something the city needs to do to shore that building up before it continues to go into further disrepair?
Patty Luckin has worked with DPW, and we are looking at some kind of solution, temporary solution, because it is going to need work over the next few years if someone doesn't purchase it. So we are looking at that.
So the communication states that you're looking to send out another RFP in the late summer?
Yes.
What is that, the reasoning for that timeframe?
To tell you the truth, I don't know exactly why that time was chosen. I think because we had that one interested party, September through the winter, I think there were several calls made. It was just put off to that point. And I think we want to sit down with the old RFP, reevaluate, look back to the mayor's survey that was done, and just tweak it if we have to.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I look at the plan, and it's something that, I think we should put it back out there again with tweaking it as best we can on it, because it might be a different atmosphere out there now as opposed to that. But I think, we might have to, at one point, think outside the box on this matter if we can't get any nibbles on that building. It's a great building. I know it needs a lot of work, but, maybe it can revert back to some type of city use. But it might be some outside-the-box thinking for the next city manager to evaluate that.
No, I agree. I mean, my thought is, I know we've been looking at an RFP for space in the downtown area for the administrative offices, and I know it needs some work, but there was a thought that maybe the school department could go in that building, but I guess we'll look at that in the future. Council Marcia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering about the historic significance of that building, and I wonder if there was some sort of an agreement many years ago, before any of us were ever born, when the Reverend Smith Baker gave this building to the city. Was there some sort of a stipulation that the agreement stated that no other church could ever be put in there, any other denomination of it? So my motion later on down the road talks about a city historian, which would come into play here at this particular time, to look and see if there's any issues back then that would be preventing us to sell it, which I don't have a problem with it, but if there's an agreement or something, we have to follow the law, and I don't know what that would be. But if someone could help me to think that there's no obstacles in the way, that'd be good. But
All right, Ms. Chad?
We can review the deed, and we can work with the historic board and see what
Okay.
information is out there,
All
because I
right,
think that would
thank
be
you.
important. And I think we will need to regroup, and we'll be open to other people's ideas on that, so.
thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Council Samaras?
Just a question. Has any thought been about fundraising to possibly to save the building? I mean, I think if that, based on what I've heard, if we were able to raise some significant amount of money to refurbish the building, that would be really an excellent opportunity for a business to come in. I can understand, not wanting to go from scratch, but I mean, if we can do something with that building, possibly have some type of fundraiser. Has that been thought of, or should it be thought of?
Well,
Question.
I think we'll just put that thought in motion. I think it's a good idea. It really is a gem of a building, centrally located. Council Marcia?
Yes, I just want to comment that the Smith Baker Center discussion come up many, many times over the years, and I specifically remember that they had asked Adam Bakey in the planning department how much would it cost to refurbish the building, and if we did everything from top to bottom that needs to be done, it would estimate between anywhere from $5 to $6 million. That's why nobody touched it. So I don't know what type of a fundraiser we have for that money, but that's a lot of money.
Expensive. Yeah. I mean, the price that we were offering it for, $300,000, was really minimal.
Right.
But $5,000 worth of work. Not everyone can afford that.
$5 million, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, well, if you can keep us posted on the progress, and if we can, the sooner we get that RFP out, the better. Council Samaras, did you have
Well,
something?
actually, could I make a motion that we look into possibly establishing a committee to review the possibilities of establishing a fundraiser for that building?
Okay.
There are key individuals in this community that know how to raise monies. They can take a look at that and give us advice as to the potential of doing that.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion and possibly put that to the Committee on Economic Development as a review board.
Okay, so perhaps we can do this. So motion to, how about we refer that communication back to the city manager for a report and recommendation on setting up a fundraising committee. We get the report back, then we'll send that over to the Economic
Perfect.
Development
Thank you.
Subcommittee. That makes sense. Motion by Council Samaras, seconded by Council O'Rourke, to refer it back to the city manager for a report and recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Ms. Trad, I'm sure that's going to land on your desk, so.
Thank you. That's good. Thanks.
Further questions on the city manager motions? Council Leahy.
Thank you. I just wanted to refer to the report from Council O'Rourke's motion about concern with parking on the sidewalks and in the neighborhoods. And so we got a report here, and the Lowell from Superintendent William Taylor, explaining that this spring that the Lowell Police Department will be launching a educational effort to try to help out the neighborhoods with this situation, because it's come up time and time again about the parking on the sidewalks, blocking the intersection. So it's good to see that we're taking a proactive, we're gonna go right after this spring, and hopefully we'll make a big dent in that. So, thank you.
Motion by Council Leahy, second by Council Belanger, to refer the response under item D to the Neighborhood Subcommittee. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Further discussion on motions? Motion to accept reports and place on file by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item 4.1, is a communication to accept the resignation of Brian Occasion from the Licensing Commission. Motion to accept communication placed on file by Council Belanger, second by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The letter's already been sent. Next item under communications, 4.3, reappoint Patrick Sheridan to the Board of Parks. Motion to approve by Council Mercia, second by Council Milanazzo. Roll call.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milanazzo?
Yes.
Council O'Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy?
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries. Next item, 4.4, communication from the city manager requesting out-of-state travel for one person from the police department. From the city manager, I respectfully request permission to send 3 members of the Lowell Police Department to the SPI National Meeting in Alexandria, Virginia. The Lowell Police Department has been requested to present on how we implement smart policing funds within the city. These funds will come from the Smart Policing Initiative grant that the Lowell Police Department was awarded. Discussion? Motion to approve by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Martin. Roll call.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milanazzo?
Yes.
Council O'Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy?
8 yeas, 1 absent. Motion carries. Next item, votes from the city manager. Is a vote for a licensing agreement for sidewalk seating, May Restaurant LLC, doing DBA Black Koi Restaurant and Lounge, 602 Merrimack Street. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Second reading by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the City of Lowell. In City Council is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute license agreement between the City of Lowell City and May Restaurant LLC, DBA Black Koi Restaurant, for use of a portion of city property adjacent to the premises at 602 Merrimack Street, Lowell, for the purpose of sidewalk seating. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy?
Yes.
Counsel Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy?
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries. Next item is a vote authorizing the acting city manager to execute a license agreement for sidewalk seating for Mariachi Foods, Inc., doing business as El Porto Mexican Grill, 124 Merrimack Street. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Samaras, seconded by Councilor Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The second reading by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Lowell and City Council, a vote authorizing the city manager to execute license agreement between the City of Lowell, City, and Mariachi Foods, Inc., doing business as El Porto Mexican Grill, for use of a portion of city property adjacent to the premises at 124 Merrimack Street for the purpose of sidewalk seating. What is the wish of the body?
Approval.
Councilor Rourke.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a general question to the manager. Mr. Manager, what are the guidelines or parameters that a business has to meet to obtain sidewalk seating downtown?
I think basically, mostly, it's an insurance element to it. I'll let the solicitor speak to that, but in review of these, I've kind of, over the last month, this is the first one I've seen kind of reviewing, just from my perspective, it really is quite a favorable agreement to the city, because the city can basically get out of these at any time for any reason. But I think the important element is the fact that they're going to have the insurance element on the premises. If solicitor can add to that.
Madam Solicitor?
Sure. Another equally important component of all of these is that the applicants always remain in good standing, particularly with the License Commission. And as Michael had indicated, the fact that these have our license agreement, we can cancel them at any time. So they're fully insured, and it's an added incentive if any additional incentive is needed to follow the rules, that you could lose this very lucrative aspect of your license.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's also my understanding, and it is reflected in the license agreement, that they have to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act as well, so that the sidewalk is kept open for anyone, say, who's wheelchair bound, to be able to get past where the seats are actually located. So there's an accessibility requirement as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Motion to approve by Councilor Leahy, seconded by Councilor Martin. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy?
Yes.
Counsel Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy? 8 yeas.
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries. Next item under 5.3 is a vote to approve proposed city council rule changes. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council, a vote amending city rules number 5, 16, 22, and 38 in accordance with attachment A. Be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell by a 2/3 vote as follows, that rules 5, 16, 22, and 38 are adopting the changes as set forth in attachment A and attached hereto and made a part of. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Samaras, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council. It's a vote amending City Council rules number 5, 16, 22, and 38 in accordance with attachment A. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I kind of agree with all of them, but the very new rule, number 38, that they're discussing, if I could just read it, it says, during the first year of his term, I wanted to say, during the first year of his/her term, a new mayor may commission a portrait that will be a pictorial representation of the mayor showing his face.
Motion
That's-
to amend by Councilor Mercia to include the word
Slash her.
slash her as
Well,
part
why
of
should it
this.
be his term? Could be her term as well.
Could be
Or
her
maybe
term.
maybe these rules just apply to him, but they don't apply to me, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, so that's why I'm saying that.
Motion to amend by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Milonazo to include language.
But I
Is
think
and
it should,
her.
I think it should be a little bit more clearer, the mayor showing his face. It should state that the portrait shall include just the mayor, no pets, no family members. I mean, it doesn't say that. The mayor could be showing his face with his favorite animal, horse, or cow, or whatever in the background. I don't know. I'm just saying we should be a little bit more specific than just showing his face, but that's just me.
Okay, why don't we take a vote on that first amendment, which I don't think is a substantive change, correct, Madam Solicitor? Okay. All those in, is that a roll call on that, Madam Solicitor, just for that amendment? Okay, why don't we take a roll call? Roll call?
Council Leahy?
Yeah, yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes?
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy? 8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. That amendment carries. Council Mercia, on that next motion, would that be, just refer that to the solicitor, would that be a substantive motion that would require a further discussion, or can we amend that here on the floor?
If there's proposed language that's acceptable to everyone, it can be amended here on the floor. I mean, one suggestion may be that the portraits are consistent in content with all existing portraits.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell, because that says it all. But it should be a little bit more specific, and that wording is proper.
Okay, so on the last,
Consistent with those that previously done, right?
so we can just amend the language during the first year of his or her term, a new mayor may commission a portrait that will be a pictorial representation consistent with existing portraits of mayors,
Consistent in its content.
consistent in content. Okay.
Right.
Motion by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Martin. Roll call.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy? 8 yeas,
8 yeas, 1 absent. That motion carries. Council Leahy, and then Councilor Martin.
On, Councilor Kennedy had asked me to look at Rule 22, the revised portion, and I'm not sure of the change, but I think he spoke to the solicitor, so maybe we get her input on this.
Madam Solicitor, on Rule 22.
Sure, Rule 22, line 5, in the center of the sentence, it has an "and," be made again, and a subsequent meeting. That should read "at." So the sentence will read, is not successful, comma, it can be made again at a subsequent meeting. So changing "and" to "at" in line 5.
Okay. Motion to make that change on Rule 22, to change the wording from "and" to "at." Motion by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Belanger. Roll call.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy? 8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Motion carries. Council Martin?
Yes, I was just going to request that, assuming these are all adopted tonight, that we get a full set of the rules revised, showing the revision date, so that we all know which ones are currently in effect.
I'll provide that for you, Council.
Okay. Further discussion on this order. Motion to entertain, motion to accept the council rule changes as amended by Councilor Samaras, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Roll call.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy? 8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Motion is approved. We already went through 6.1 prior in the meeting. Subcommittee reports. Council Leahy already reported on the neighborhood subcommittee. Are there further subcommittee reports? Council Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just schedule a public safety subcommittee meeting on April 22nd at 5:30, if that spot's available, please.
Okay. And the purpose, Councilor?
We have a couple of motions that were referred to public safety.
Okay,
One just Narcan, the mayor's motion on the safety plan and so forth.
great. Very
Thank
good,
you.
thank you. Council Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And on May 6th, I'd like to schedule a zoning subcommittee to take up the topic of the Rogers Street proposed rezoning. I've been in touch with Eric Slagle, and it appears that May 6th would work best, and his office is going to reach out to all of the stakeholders involved. So that'll be at 5:30 on May 6th.
Thank you, Councilor. Further subcommittees to be scheduled? Seeing none, moving on to the next item. Under petitions, we have claims, 3 property claims for damages. Motion to refer to the Law Department for a report and a recommendation by Council Samaras, seconded by Councilor O'Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Next item under petitions, 8.2, miscellaneous. Mr. Ken Harkins requests permission to speak before the City Council regarding Ellen Sampson Memorial.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Councilors, for allowing me to do this. I'm kind of embarrassed to come before this council and ask us to rectify something that occurred 50 years ago. She was the first lady mayor in Lowell, the first Greek American in Lowell. She shattered the glass ceiling before it was invented. We've done nothing to recognize her. I would like to see this City Council rectify the error that was made many years ago when they named Dutton Street Sampson Expressway, the Eleanor Sampson Expressway. Rename that street. I know it's going to cost money, but we found money to name bridges and put up monuments and Mickey Ward Circle and things like that. It seems that we could at least rename the street and put a memorial or something over here at the corner of Market Street and the Sampson Connector next to the canal where nobody would be running into it with a car or a snowplow or anything like that. It seems that we could find as a community some way to recognize this lady that just blew the glass ceiling away, and we dropped the ball. I'm not saying you did, we did. The community did it, and we need to rectify it. I mean, I was very remiss when I didn't thank the mayor and the city councilor for mending fences with the Greek community at this last Greek Independence Day. I do want to say thank you for that, and forgive me for getting it out of line, but I do believe that we should do something to recognize Ellen, and I really just leave it up to you to decide how we're going to do it. I've made the proposal. I came in and embarrassed us all. Now we can move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harkins. Mr. Manager?
If I may, to address the gentleman's concern, and I don't know when it began, but there's been a movement here that there will be street signs going up naming that part of the connector after in her honor. It's just been an issue of getting them out there, and the weather has broken, and those signs are in the process of being put up there at that point. So I think that's a good start. There may be more that this body would like to do, but there will be signs naming that part of the connector in her honor.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
We're looking forward to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Manager. I did contact Adam Bakey back in February on this, and he did report back that, and if there's no objection, I can just read his communication. It was an email. He wasn't exactly sure where Sampson Connector begins or where it ends, but when Thorndike and Dutton were widened and redesigned in the 80s, the project was called the Sampson Connector. The underlying street names were not changed for 911 reasons. So his suggestion with the street signs remain, and that some ceremonial signage could be added to the Sampson connector, so that's what's in process. I appreciate that, Mr. Manager. Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Council Mercier, second by Council Malinazzo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Reverting back to the agenda, item 9.1, City Council motions. First motion of the evening by Councilor Leahy. Request City Manager invite UMass Lowell hockey team in for recognition on recent successful season. Second by Council Leahy. By Council Belanger. Council Leahy.
Thank you. Last year, I believe Council Laurie made the motion. We had the team in. They had another great season, and it's only fitting that we ask them to come in and recognize them. So if we could have someone get in touch with the coach or the athletic department, and we could have them in again and recognize them.
Will do, Counselor. A couple of them jumped to the pro, so.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get him before he goes to
They do
Winnipeg.
it soon. Yeah.
Council Belanger, can you make that happen for us, being a season
I
ticket
will do
holder?
my best. As an avid fan and season ticket holder, Mr. Mayor, I will do my best, but I think it's a great motion by Council Leahy. UMass Lowell, in the world of college hockey, is a national powerhouse, and we are getting all kinds of recognition. When I travel to see the team, it's just wonderful for the city. It really is, for the city's image and a lot of different things. So I think it's a great idea, and maybe we can write a letter to the Chancellor or get a transmission over to him and stressing how much we'd like to recognize the team and how proud we are of their accomplishments. So I think it'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next motion of the evening by Council Leahy, 9.2. Council Leahy requests City Manager work with proper department to make sure the downtown is kept clean as it concerns the dumpsters. Second by Council Martin. Council Leahy.
Thank you. A few weeks ago, we got a couple of emails, particularly about the dumpsters that maybe are situated in the alleyways, not so much the ones that are out in the parking lots, but we just need to make sure that the dumpster ordinance is followed, that the dumpsters aren't overflowing. We have a lot of residents downtown now. Some of their views are between the alleyways, and when they get littered, it's not a good thing for any of us. So if we can make sure that we're on top of this. A few weeks ago, we did talk to the inspectional department. Mr. Ouellette was over there. He took care of the situation. Residents were happy, but we don't want to let this happen again. We want to make sure that we're on top of this.
Thank you, Council. Mr. Manager.
Yeah, yes, Council, I agree with you, and I think the inspection service do take a proactive approach on it, but what's important as well is if people see it, report it. You know, see and click, and I think that's an important element. So if you see it, report it to inspection services, and as it indicated last week, it's acted on pretty quickly, so.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next motion of the evening, again by Council Leahy, request City Manager work with proper department and state delegation to set up a meeting with Comcast in order to discuss pricing for the Lowell community. Second by Council Belanger. Council Leahy.
Thank you. Again, this is an issue that's been going on forever. Lately, we've gotten a few more emails about this, and as the price of our Comcast goes up in the area, we hear about it from the residents. We all pay for it, whether we pay for cable, phone, and TV, or the bundle pack, but I think that it's time that we try to sit down with them, try to tell them, share our concerns. You know, the price is really just going up over the last couple of years, and it's getting tough with everything else that's on the rise. So maybe, especially with our new city manager coming on, this would be a great thing to sit down with them, try to negotiate a 10, a 15, a 20% reduction in price across the board. So I know Councilor Samaras want to speak on this too, but this is really something that's quite a few people, it's affecting quite a few people in the city, and we'd like to really try to get something done on this. I know we meet once a year maybe with Comcast, but that just has to do with maybe upgrades and hardware, things like that. But it's time to talk about price.
Thank you, Council Samaras.
Thank you. I think Councilor Leahy's motion is a very good motion. I was going to make a similar motion next week, but I'd like to add an amendment to his motion. The issue here is, John's correct, Councilor Leahy's correct. There are many people in the city who are really upset at the cost of our Comcast services. If you were to call Comcast, the best you might get is that, we are the only service, but why is the price gone up? Well, we give you better service. Will you lower my price? Will you give me back the price that I had with the original contract? No, we can't do it. The only way they will do it or can do it if there's competition. If you're in Andover, if you're in Chelmsford, if you're in Westford, you're talking about Fios, Verizon, and Comcast. People there get a fair share, or they do get a much better rate than we get here in Lowell. So I really think this has to be looked upon. So my amendment to Mr. Leahy's motion would be to ask the city solicitor to examine the effect of the Verizon Fios business practices of just expanding into suburban areas. Because I think, in fact, that the companies, Verizon and Comcast, have created a strategy that actually makes it difficult to come into an urban area. And when I talk about prejudice, I think it's prejudice about, we'll say the poverty levels that cities have. I think they also have a practice in some communities where if Verizon's there, Comcast will not go in. If Comcast is there, Verizon won't go in. What it states to us in urban centers, and you'll find that most of the urban centers, like Lowell, do not have this service. But if you go to your Andovers, your Lexingtons, your Westfords, you have all of these services, and people get a fair price. So it's about competition. So I think Councilor Leahy's opened up, motion sets up for a great dialogue, but I think we have to go beyond dialogue, but ask the city solicitor if she can appeal to the Attorney General's office, or if we could form our own class action suit in this regard, because I do think it's a prejudice against cities, urban cities, small urban cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Solicitor, do you have anything to add? Nope. Okay. So motion is to have the manager set up work with the proper department. I presume that'll be the solicitor's office, to meet with the delegation to set up a meeting with Comcast. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, and the opposed, excuse me, motion carries. Next item of the night, next motion. Again, Councilor Leahy, request city manager have the proper department come up with a solution for the crosswalk at East Merrimack Street in front of the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. Seconded by Councilor Milanazzo. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. This crosswalk just seems that maybe we've moved that crosswalk to a new position with the new street lights that we have in that area. I feel that the crosswalk just seems a little too dark when we're having events at the auditorium. So I did a little research. I was hoping maybe we could put one of those crosswalks that lights up, like a motion detector crosswalk, but I don't think from my research that we'd get a big bang for our buck there. The maintenance might be a little too much. So I'm just looking for some solutions, whether it be replacing the existing street light there with one that's a little bit higher and brighter, that the light fans out a little bit more. And just noticing that on these dark nights, when we have an event at the auditorium, it's difficult for people to navigate by Davidson Street. We have a lot of cars parked on both sides. We have handicap parking on one side, and then it seems like we have a drop-off center. So it's very crowded, and even though we do have a detail there, sometimes the police officer might be assisting somebody, and then before you know it, you're driving through and 10 or 15 people just walk out in front of you. So if we could do something just to mark that area better, work with Global to make sure that it's properly, that the detail fits the event, and that people know that there's a crosswalk and we need to slow down there. So I know it's a lot, but
So the motion is to have the proper department come up with a solution. Why don't we motion to refer this this motion to the city manager and to the traffic department for report and recommendation by
Sure.
Council Leahy, seconded by Council Belanger. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Next motion of the night by Council Marcia. Request City Council support naming the newly renovated sports complex at Highland Park the James F. Fallon Sports Complex. Seconded by Council Belanger. Council Marcia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion asks that this city council supports the naming of the newly renovated sports complex at Highland Park after Mr. James F. Fallon. Let me tell you a little bit about this Highlands gentleman. Mr. Fallon was born in Lowell, residing on Stephen Street. He was a lifelong communicant of St. Margaret's Parish. He still resides on Stephen Street to this day. He's probably watching the city council meeting as we speak, him and his lovely wife, because they never miss a time of it. He attended Keith Academy and Lowell High School, class of 49. Jim was a three-sport athlete at Keith and Lowell High School during the late 40s. He quarterbacked Ray Riddick's first Lowell High School undefeated football team in 1948. Jim was inducted into the Lowell High School Athletic Hall of Fame in 1933. After high school, a Philadelphia Athletics pro baseball team signed him. He served in the United States Army stationed in Japan for 2 years in 1953. Jim became a member of the Lowell Fire Department in 1962 and was promoted to lieutenant in 1970. He served for 32 years on the Lowell Fire Department until his retirement in 1992. Jim and his wife Kay married in 1953, and on April 25th, they were married for 61 years. They have 5 children. And I might say that those children that they have are grown up now and are very active in this community all over the place. They're unbelievable. For 47 years of those years were spent as scout leaders, coaches, parent group organizers throughout their children's growing years. Jim served as president of the Lowell High School Boosters Club in the 70s. Jim and Kay have carried that support over to their 7 grandchildren. During the past 20-plus years, they have attended and supported every event the grandchildren have participated in. Many of those events took place right here in the Highlands section of the city of Lowell. All of his grandchildren were raised in the Highlands. Mr. Fallon is a bit of a historian of the Upper Highlands, having lived in that neighborhood his entire life. He can tell you the true history of Cowboy Rock, located behind the Highlands Little League field. He can tell you what the neighborhood looked like before there were homes on Campbell Drive. Jim has been a dedicated citizen of Lowell who remains active, often attending meetings on local projects, and he continues to advocate for the betterment of Lowell and specifically the Upper Highlands. He is the right candidate for this honor, and I hope my colleagues can support this very wise choice. If this motion passes, I would like to refer this as well to the Board of Parks for their April 30th meeting. They meet once a month on the last Wednesday, and if it passes, although we could support it, it ultimately has to come for their approval, supersedes ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on this motion? Motion to refer this item to the Board of Parks.
Well, first of all, Mr. Mayor, I'd like a roll call vote to see if we support it first. And
Motion,
then-
motion to approve by, it's by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Leahy. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy,
Yes.
Counsel Martin,
Yes.
Counsel Mercia,
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke,
Yes.
Counsel Samaras,
Yes.
Counsel Belanger,
Yes.
Mayor Elliott,
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy. 8 yeas, 1 absent.
There is one absence. Council Belanger had seconded that initially. So motion to refer, the motion approved by Council Mercia, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Roll call
To the
to the Board of Parks. Sorry.
Counsel Leahy, Counsel Martin,
Yes.
Counsel Mercia,
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott,
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to my colleagues. And I hope that Jim and Kay are watching this because they'll be doing the Irish jig for sure. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. It was a pleasure. And we'll look forward to that meeting and that recommendation coming in. Next item is 9.6. Again, by motion by Councilor Mercia. Request acting city manager of the proper departments replace 6 trees along the Roy Garage at the entrance to Market Mills side of the garage. Second by Council Milonazo. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that the motion speaks for itself, but there were quite a stretch of trees along that path leading into Market Mills. To the side of the garage, it was like a facade that was like covering the garage, and people enjoyed the aesthetic look of that. And over the years, trees have died, and 5 or 6 are gone. And I thought we had an ordinance that said that if a tree dies and we take it out, we must replant another one. So I'm just asking to live up to what the ordinance says and try to put in 5 or 6 more trees, whatever how many came down, should be replaced. That's what we try to do in the city. So this was at the request of residents that live in that area, 200 Market Street, and they've noticed over the years how it's just bare and they're seeing more of the Roy Garage. So it's just housekeeping if we could make it a little nicer for the people to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, next motion of the night by Council Mercia. Request acting city manager, appoint a city historian. Second by Council Milonazo. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a very important motion. As you could see earlier in the meeting, we did have some questions concerning the Smith Baker, and I didn't think that we paid $85,000 for it. I thought it was a gift for $1 or whatever, but then I don't know my history that well. But I think this is a good motion, and that the person that we choose, which I believe we have a person in mind that is a historian to begin with. The purpose of this initiative is to create an honorary but official volunteer position of a city historian for the city of Lowell. I'm not saying we have to dip into our funds and pay this person. This person is willing to do this volunteer work. And the city historian shall be appointed by the Lowell City Council based on demonstrated knowledge and expertise in the history of the city of Lowell. The terms, and I copied this and gave it to each of my colleagues so they will know where I'm coming from. The terms of the office shall be 1 year with eligibility for reappointment, serving at the pleasure of the city council. The city historian shall be a resident of the city of Lowell at the time of the appointment and shall maintain city residency during the tenure of the position. The duties and responsibility of the city historian will work closely with the offices of the city manager, city clerk, city solicitor to coordinate the identification, inventory, maintenance, storage, and/or disposition of historical records and artifacts in the custody of the city. will assist departments in identifying and applying for grants and other resources to maintain and process historical records, including digitization, will provide periodic updates to the City Council on the status, care, and maintenance of historical artifacts in the city's possession, will assist with any historical or genealogical questions that are not the purview of other departments, and will promote public awareness of the City of Lowell's history as requested. And I know that we have such a person that fits these qualifications, and that is Mehmed Ali. We have been going to him for years and years for historical data, and he's always supplied it. He is an expert in this. So if my colleagues support it, I would like to refer it to the Law Department to draw up the proper vote. But before I do that, I would like a roll call if people would support it or if there would be questions. This is a volunteer position. No money would come out of it, but it would give the person that is willing to do all this work a chance to be included as a city historian on a resume someday, so that would be good. So we're giving him a title so that he could volunteer to do some great work in the city. I know that the clerk's office could be using the help, and he would be probably up in the attic doing all kind of reorganization of the books and things.
Better him than
So
me.
if there's any questions.
Further discussion? Further discussion on this?
If I just may,
Mr. Manager?
I've spoken to the individual that you mentioned, Counselor, and I think the important element of this concerns the identification and taking the inventory of all the records that are up there, vital records as well as election records and the like. That's an important element, and he's a dedicated resource to that, free of charge.
Yeah.
It's a huge undertaking, and I think the dedication and his commitment solo to that project is going to be beneficial to the city as a whole. That's a project that it's tough to take on, plus running the day-to-day operations. We've done a lot in the last 2 years in terms of trying to organize and getting the records that go back to the 1800s for us. And I think this position here will be quite beneficial to the plans as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Council Leahy?
Thank you. I just want to concur with the manager that this is great that somebody wants to take this undertaking. I've been up in the attic. There's a lot to do up there, and so this would be great, and we appreciate that someone stepped forward to do this.
He's enthusiastic about it, Council. I hope it doesn't wane as he gets higher up there.
Oh, okay. So the question was whether this needs an ordinance or not, and we do not. It's just it's a gift that we're going to be accepting. So further discussion on this item. Just one question through you, Mr. Manager. Councilor, is there a particular location where we're looking to set aside upstairs to do the archiving, or is that to be determined?
That's still a question that we're going to assess and review further, Mr. Mayor. The clerk has a dedicated space up there, which is not the most, I should say, space that would like a little better. So I think that's all kind of into the mix at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So let's have a roll call, and then we'll proceed accordingly.
Counsel Leahy?
Yes.
Counsel Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy? 8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Motion carries. Council Mercia, motion to refer.
Refer this motion to the solicitor's office to draw up the proper vote. And I want to just say that we do accept gifts of cars, we accept gifts of trucks, vehicles. This is a gentleman that has proven himself time and time again as an historian, and I'm not going to deny that, but he's giving of his time, which is a very precious commodity. And so I don't know how you can ever repay that, but we're giving him a title and that he could use further down the road as on his resume. So I think that's a good bargain, I think. So I'm honored to present this motion.
Council Mercer, it's a good motion, and I think it's a great idea considering the city and our national historic park and historic significance that we take this next step to preserve so many historical artifacts that are still upstairs. So, motion to refer this to the Law Department to draw up the proper vote by Council Mercier, seconded by Council Rourke. Roll call.
Yes.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
Council Belanja?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy?
Eight.
Yeas, one.
Thank you.
8 yeas, 1 absence. Thank you, Mehmet. Did you want to say a few words? No, he's good. Okay. He's going to archive.
When we draw the proper vote, you better be here to say that, because Marty Laurie wouldn't like that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Mr. Ali. Next item is 9.8. Next motion of the night by Council Milonazo. Request city manager report on cost of moving violations for driving in the bike lane. Second by Councilor Samaras. Council Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought this motion forward. I received a phone call from a constituent, and if you can picture this, he was coming inbound on Father Morissette. He was third in line behind a car taking a left on Suffolk Street. He decided to drive around, and he drove over the bike lane, and the car that was in front of him ended up pulling him over. And he said, again, I wasn't there, but he said it was a Lowell police officer, and said that he could write him a citation for $500 for driving in the bike lane, which I was kind of astounded by. And I've since heard it's not 500, it's 100. So I really would like to get a report to find out what it is, if it's within our jurisdiction or if it's a state law. And secondly, I was under the impression when those bike lanes went in on Father Morissette that the cars and the bikes would actually coexist, that we could not allow cars on the bike lane. So I was a little surprised to hear that as well. So that's the reason for the motion. He was stunned that it was going to be a $500 fine, and all he was doing was driving around a car taking a left-hand turn onto Suffolk Street. So
As I mentioned earlier, Council.
thank you.
I'm not surprised, but we'll get the report for you.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Council Belanja?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilor Milonazo on this. I'm curious to know myself, because, you know, I'm up and down that boulevard once, twice a day at least, and there's never any activity. I'm very, very concerned about the future of the Father Morissette Boulevard with those bike lanes and those meters. And the reason is you see a lot of people driving in the bike lane because there's never any cars parked in the meters. So they're thinking it's still a two-way, that it's perfectly legit to drive in the bike lane. They're wrong in a sense by law, but, you know, common sense may tell you that, to the contrary. So, you know, Mr. Manager, I appreciate your research, what you're trying to do. You're trying to get some activity up there in the parking, as you alluded to earlier. But in my opinion, if there was a demand for parking there, it'd have been there already. So nonetheless, it's something to keep. I look forward to your report, but I'm very concerned up there. It's very unsafe. There's a lot of confusion. It's underutilized. So, I mean, we're entering the season now, the warm season, so hopefully we see more tourism and activity up there. But we're really going to have to take a hard look at this come the end of the summer and whatnot. So I look forward to that report.
Councilor, I think as we move forward and as I hope it develops as I think it will develop, I think you'll be pleased. I think you'll be pleased, and I know you'll keep an open eye on it, but I think if it develops the way I think it can develop, I think there'll be some satisfaction there.
Okay, I have faith in you, Mr. Manager. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Next motion of the evening is by Council Belanja. Request City Council include an assessment of the cost of a new high school to be built at another location. Second by Council Leahy. Council Belanja?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As this council, I'm sure, is well aware of, and the folks at home, that, you know, this is one of the biggest projects that this city is going to face in the next 5-10 years is our new high school. No two ways about it. So I was just very curious regarding cost assessments and what we're looking at here. We've had meetings with the school committee and this council. Administration officials were here. We met with the MSBA, with acting Manager-elect Murphy and the delegation. It was a very productive meeting. But I just wanted to assure that, that we're looking at all avenues as we enter this. It's very, very early in the stages. But I do have a cost analysis here, and I should say I had it the whole time in the report, my mistake. And what's very interesting here is that, a cost of a new high school at its current location is in the neighborhood of about $245 million. A cost of a new high school at an alternative other location, such as South Common, for instance, is about $290 million. So they're not all that far apart. So I just want to make sure as we move forward that the dialogue continues, that all the stakeholders have input in this decision. It's probably the biggest one this council may have to make if, again, we're approved by the MSBA in the next year or 9 months. So, so as we move forward, I just want to make sure that all the stakeholders are involved in this discussion, in this process. It's a very big decision, and I can't stress enough. But again, I just want to make sure everybody's involved, and it's probably best we, Mr. Mayor, that we refer this, if it's no problem, my colleagues to the ad hoc committee, subcommittee, for further discussion, so the dialogue keeps going. And we're very, very early. We have to get the application in by this Friday, and we decided that the high school is the priority project, and that's great. I think we almost all agree on that. So that's great to have that togetherness on that moving forward. But nonetheless, we've got a long way to go. It's whatever we decide is not written in stone, because the MSBA ultimately, if we are granted, makes the ultimate decision. So we're a long ways away here, Mr. Mayor, so I just want to ensure the dialogue and everyone has a say in this matter as we move forward. So I look forward to hear comments from my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Motion by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Lady, to refer this item to the ad hoc subcommittee on high school facility and school assessment. Council Milanazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, I don't believe I will be supporting the motion due to the fact that I think that even though Council Belanger is well-intentioned, I think everything that he's talking about is actually happening as we speak. We did get cost assessments on the other two locations that were mentioned, Colley Stadium as well as South Common. We did an outreach back in 2010 to the stakeholders, if you will. I was able to get minutes of those meetings and sign-up sheets where we had close to 100 people who weighed in, and to a person, it was overwhelmingly voted to keep the high school in the downtown. When you all went to the MSBA, and I know Council Belanger went as well, it was my understanding, I was not there, but that the people you met with were impressed with the fact that the city had hired OMR to actually do the feasibility study. They came back with the various planning options. And as Council Belanger indicated, if we're fortunate enough to be shortlisted, when MSBA does come back in here, they're actually going to do their own assessment. And it could be the high school location, the current location, or it could be somewhere else. I am just fearful that if this council goes on record to even refer this to the ad hoc committee, we might not be putting forward a unified voice. And I believe that by vote of this council, which was unanimous to support the project by the school committee, also unanimous, and a 7-0 vote to support the high school as a priority. Again, it is going to take a long time to do, and again, I truly believe that Council Belanger is well-intentioned, but again, I'm just afraid that if we're asking for additional assessments to be done, we may actually delay the process. So again, I'm going to vote against the motion if it's a roll call vote, and I'd like to be recorded in opposition if it's a voice vote. But again, just based upon the fact that the work has been done, the downtown meetings were held, neighborhood meetings were held, and we just need to continue to move forward. Thank you.
Councilor Samaras?
Thank you. I understand Councilor Belanger's request, but as Councilor Milanazzo has stated, there's a process already in place that's being led by the school committee. And the one thing I do know about this process, it allows for plenty of input as the process goes on. I mean, the MSBA will make a decision as to whether we can build it or not. Once that decision's made, it's going to give us ample time to make other decisions. But I mean, at this point, I do know when these situations come up, they're rather fragile, and certain things can happen where the MSBA could say, well, what's going on in Lowell? Do you really want it? I mean, do you want to study it further, or what have you? So I would rather, go at the pace that we're going, that's been established, but also it'll give us time to have input as needed. I mean, we also have, like, my subcommittee on education. I mean, there's some plans, to meet with students. We want to include student input in all of this. And historically, just to let you know, when this plan first came out, I was against Jeff Speck's request to move the school, to keep the school in the downtown. I was looking myself to move it outside towards College Stadium where the fields were. And that was my decision as headmaster at that particular time. But as I'm looking at what's going on right now with this expansive University of Lowell and Middlesex Community College, having the high school in the downtown makes a lot of sense because it creates opportunities for our students. So there's a lot at stake. And then I know that Mr. Belanger is also concerned about the business people having issues with students in the downtown. But quite often I was called to meet with various committee groups of the downtown when there were issues. And when those issues were discussed, those issues were solved. So there's a lot out there. There's a lot of other things that we can do. And I understand where Council Belanger is, but I think if we do anything else, it could derail the process. I'd like to see the process continue, and the process will allow us ample time and ample opportunity to talk about changes, talk about locations, talk about the fact, are we going to build it or not, or where, what other things should be done. I think we have the opportunity, but this is an opportunity that I would not want to lose for our students in Lowell. So I'm cautious about this.
Okay, thank you, Council. For the discussion on the motion as amended, Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think any position of where the high school is as of right now, is way down the line. I don't think whatever decision or vote made here tonight has any effect on the MSBA, whether it's holding things up or not. As far as things go, it's been voted on by both the council and the school committee that on Friday it'll be put in. So, respectfully, gathering information and seeing what's best for the city is not a problem. I'll support the Councilor Belanger's motion. Referring it to the ad hoc as a committee, as everybody knows, of city councilors and school committee members. Once the MSBA does grant, the initiative, then at that point in time, they'll be coming to the city and talking to city officials of where or what's best for the city at that point in time. So, any talk of keeping it where it is now or moving it, we're not there yet. So, there's no reason not to keep gathering of information to make the best decision for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Rourke. Council Leahy.
Thank you. I just have one question also that, once this comes to us, I don't think we have any real say on what the MSBA says or what the school department says. Don't we basically just fund these projects and leave it up to the school committee to decide how to spend the money? Would that be accurate? We could weigh in, but I think it's their decision as a body to assess their needs and then come to us for the funding.
If there's no objection. The assessment report that was completed by a consultant hired by the school department provides an assessment, not just of the high school, of the entire school district's needs. So that has been submitted to MSBA. The rules for MSBA say to submit your projects. We will evaluate them, but in the meantime, you have to pick one of those projects as the priority. So, that process is going to continue now that we have submitted the priority. It is in the hands of MSBA, and they made it abundantly clear that they make the decision, and it's based upon a number of factors. They have a budget of $500 million annually, They've received hundreds of requests from other communities. They look at those requests, they look at the priorities and the needs in those communities, and they make that decision. So they will be coming out to the city and conducting, as they have stated, a feasibility study, not just on the high school, but the other 4 projects that we submitted as a statement of interest, those middle schools. So it's really, quite frankly, it's in the hands of the MSBA, Mass School Building Authority. So I believe the ad hoc subcommittee, and they did indicate it'll be a 6 to 9 month process before they make their decision. They will look to have meetings and walkthroughs with city officials. And the ad hoc subcommittee, I think that's why it was set up, to facilitate meetings on what they find. There might be a request for additional information based upon their walkthroughs. So, that is the process. And as we heard from Mr. Lang and the superintendent of the school, it's about a 6 to 9 month process before they make that decision on whether, and they could make a decision on some of the other statement of interest in those other schools that we submitted as well, the other 4. So it is a long process. We are far from completing it. There will be a lot more information between now and the time they make that decision. But once they conduct they begin and conduct their feasibility study, they will make the final decision on where it is and the extent of, what they're willing to fund. So that answers questions, but we have initiated the process, but there's a lot, it's a long journey. Councilman Milanazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with everything that you just said. But again, I just want to reiterate my position is that I don't want to be sending publicly the wrong message to the MSBA that we're not quite sure what we want to do. I think the vote that we took, the vote that the school committee took, the fact that we had these charrettes a few years ago, the fact that in talking to Headmaster Martin, over 50% of the students at Lowell High School walk to school because they live in the fringe of the downtown, be it Lower Centerville, the Acre, Lower Highlands, Lower Belvedere. So again, that will certainly enter into the discussion with the MSBA if we're fortunate enough to be selected and they'll come here. But again, I just want to speak with a unified on this issue, so that's why I'm going to vote against the motion. Thank you.
So the motion as amended is to refer the assessment report to the ad hoc subcommittee on high school and other facility, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councilor Leahy. Motion on the amendment to refer. Roll call.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Martin?
No.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milanazzo?
No.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
No.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Council Kennedy? 5 yeas, 3 nays.
5 yeas, 3 nays, motion carries. Next item. Council Leahy, could you take the chair?
Next motion by Mayor Elliott. Councilor Mercier requests City Council to discuss "Lot to Like About Lowell" slogan. Mayor?
Thank you, Council, Mr. Vice Chair. For the longest time, we had a slogan, "There's a lot to like about Lowell," and I like the slogan, and then I know it was replaced with something else, and I wasn't sure how or why the reason was, and I'm not sure. I'd like to find out why, because I really thought we spent a fair amount of money when the slogan came out. I think we paid a consultant or an advertising agency to come up with that. So the motion itself, I'd like to bring it back. I know that I work in Boston, and people all often stay, I haven't heard that song on the radio. I think it was BZ. There's a lot to like about Lowell, and I think it sends the message about the city. There is a lot to like about Lowell. Today was a good example where we had a press conference about bringing the great race to the city, and that's just something else to like about the city. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to, get a report on, maybe where, why that was changed, and, I'd like to see if we could change the slogan back. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I agree. That's why I supported this motion. There's a lot to like about Lowell. There's a lot of things, not just 3 things. As it says, unique, alive, and inspiring. I thought they were describing Michael Gary or something, but so I really think when you say there's a lot to like about Lowell, there's even more to like about Lowell than just 3 things. So I never really cared for it, but now I'd like to have them take one more look and see if they could go back to where it was. Sometimes things don't need to be changed. They need to just stay the way they are. I think that was the case, but it's alive, unique, and inspiring. I'm glad it ain't dead, dull, and boring. Anyway.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Dull and boring is one thing it is not, Councilor, I'll tell you that. But I think that this was a very, very effective marketing slogan when we had this thing, in full, in all our marketing campaigns it was on. I just heard it over the weekend in Boston for a Bruins game when I talking to some individuals from Lowell, and there's a lot, first thing I said, a lot to like about Lowell. I still hear from time to time, and that's out of town. Now, I'm talking out of the city now. So I think it's very, very important. I know after having conversations with Jim Cook on the Lowell plan, he just mentioned this just weeks ago, that how this is sadly missing their marketing campaign. So I think this is a win-win that we bring this back. It is catchy, and hopefully we use it in what I hope to be picking up marketing in the city in FY15. So I think it's a great motion. I commend the both of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Rourke? Oh, I thought you had your hand up. No? Okay. All right. So, geez, I haven't been up here in a while, so.
All those
All those in favor, say aye.
I think I need to amend my own motion because it says just discuss, but I'd like we need to take a vote to adopt this slogan as part of the city's marketing campaign. So I'd like to amend my own to include that.
Take a roll call, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Martin?
Well, what I thought you said was you wanted a report back from the manager to see what's involved in changing it. I actually think it's probably a good idea to change it too, but what is it?
Alive, I'm sorry.
Unique.
You're going to just say we have this slogan now? I mean, what is that?
Mayor?
Is that radio ads? Are we voting on radio ads? Are we voting on stationery? Are we voting on?
Oh, do you want to clarify?
I wanted to know why it was changed. That's what the request, as well as, how much we spent on development way back when. So I will clarify. I'd like to know why it was changed. I presume I shouldn't presume, why it was changed. And I do think we should, if we're going to adopt a logo, we don't just for a radio or stationery, we adopt it, period.
We'll get the report back first and then.
When we get the report back first, and then we'll vote on the report. That's fine.
All right. So all those in favor of getting the report? Councilor Mercer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why don't we do it this way? Why don't we just marketing people up there, cool, they're the ones that changed it to begin with, and see if it would be feasible to change it back, and how much would it cost, because they must have stationery. And I don't think it's right for us to just say, we're going to change it. I think we should let them know of our interest in that we're not really satisfied with the logo, and if it's possible, if we could have them change it back. And
Manager's office, that's the direction that would,
right,
it
you
would go.
see, that's what we would do.
So we're to refer to the manager. He'll do all the footwork and report back.
Good.
All right.
All those in favor of the motion?
Right.
Ayes have it. Second motion by Mayor Elliott, requests City Council Subcommittee meet to discuss new law, owner flood insurance of 2014, enacted by Congress, seconded by Councilor Milazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. The motion speaks for itself. There was a newly enacted law to provide relief to those individuals that have to pay flood insurance. So I think it's important that the flood subcommittee meet, find out exactly what, the effects are, and good effects. It's supposed to provide relief to, to individuals in the flood zone. So the motion speaks for itself. I'm sure we can get a lot more information at that flood subcommittee.
Thank you. Councilor Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. We'll set up a meeting for that subcommittee at next week's schedule. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Last motion of the night by Elliott, request city manager report on the efforts to be on the floodplain management measures by Councilor.
Again, this motion does speak for itself as well. I received a communication, the manager received a communication regarding the new floodplain management measures and map, and I believe there is a process that we have to go through to look at that map and has to be adopted. So if we could refer that also to the flood subcommittee when they have that meeting, get an update and report just to ensure compliance with FEMA, the Federal Energy Emergency Management Agency.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. There we are.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just before we enter the executive session, it's the will of the council. It's my last meeting tonight as the acting city manager. I just want to thank the board for having the confidence in me to steer the ship for a little while. I enjoyed it. I appreciate your confidence. I'd like to recognize the department heads who were extremely helpful for a novice like myself. The manager put me through some ideas that I've had, and they've helped me along the way. I'd like special recognition to Connor Baldwin, who really, he worked outside his box all the time I was out in terms of the budget and the money elements. So I appreciate that, and as well to my staff as well. We're down a man for the month and a half, and that's difficult, and they've done a great job. So I just want to thank you again and enjoyed the time.
By Council Lee, seconded by Council Belinda. In favor, signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Mr. Manager, well said. Council Belanger on the suspension.
Yes. No, I just wanted to, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say thank you to the acting manager's service, to the acting clerk, and to the acting auditor for stepping up and doing a tremendous job. We lost no lapse of service here in the city. We have a great staff in this building, always willing to step up. Thank you very much to all of you, sir, for all of your service. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to piggyback on Councilor Belanger's, we'd be remiss not to thank Angela Gitchia for her work taking over the clerk's office during this time. So to Mr. Manager and Madam Clerk, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Further, Council Marcia?
No doubt about it, Mr. Mayor. They did a tremendous job from the auditor, Karen O'Byrne. We got Angela Gitchia as the acting city clerk, and Michael, you did a tremendous job. You are unique, alive, and inspiring. I still say you are.
I got something for the tombstone.
There's a lot to like about Michael.
There's a lot to like about Mike.
Further discussion? If there's no objection, I'd just like to also commend you, Mr. Gary, for keeping things going in the last short while. I have to say, you had a lot of things to address, and you did them very well. But I think the most impressive task that you achieved was your debut at the St. Patrick's Day breakfast. I think you did a great job, and you have a career ahead of you if you so desire. But no, also thanks. I also want to personally thank you, and as well as Angela Gitt for all of your service, as well as Karen O'Byrne. Karen's not going anywhere yet because we still need her to be the acting auditor. But job well done, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council Lake.
I just wanted to say thank you also, and there was a rumor that we're going to turn the back in, but keep the plates. I think the plates go with the car. So,
It's a good idea.
Further discussion? Next item is on the agenda is executive session. Okay, executive session, we're going to state first the review negotiations with the city manager-elect. Second item is to discuss matters of litigation, public action of which could have a detrimental effect on the city's. Roll call. Let me also just state, we will recess, and then we will come to open session to take votes. Correct, Madam Solicitor? Okay. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy? Counsel Martin?
Yes.
Counsel Mercia?
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo?
Yes.
Counsel Rourke?
Yes.
Counsel Samaras?
Yes.
Counsel Belan?
Yes.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes. Yeas, one absent. Motion carries. Meeting will be in